that was, because obviously we saw him, we saw Axl, we met the whole band, and the show was over. And Bumblefoot says to us, I think he said, do you want to meet the boss? I think that's how he put it. And, me and Sammy were like, Axl? And he was, because Axl had his own dressing room, which wasn't far away. And it was nothing what I would expect it to be, this elaborate, it was just a room pretty much. And it had some, like a cold cuts dish or something and then some like finger foods. So Bumblefoot was like, do you want to meet him? And, Bumblefoot had a pretty good amount, I think, of drinks during the concert. So he was in a very friendly mood. And we were like, we'll go meet him if it's cool. Like, we don't want to interrupt whatever he's doing. He just played for 3 hours. And then Bumble was like, no, he's got to meet all these people from the radio station that won some contest. So we go over there, and there's like a long line out of his dressing room. And it looks like people that might have won a radio contest because they're all just waiting. So Bumblefoot's like, he just cuts the line. And we go right into the dressing room, and Axl is just sitting there in a white bathrobe. And it's me, Punk, and Sammy. And I was like, whoa, this is not what I expected. Like, I didn't think he'd be right here. And he was kind of looking down, and he had some other people in the room. And I remember he was drinking a Heineken, and he was just it sounds like he was just decompressing from the show. And it felt kind of weird, like maybe we shouldn't be in here. But Bumblefoot just kept talking, and he was kind of like, yeah, go say hi. And we were like, he doesn't look like he wasn't in a bad mood or anything, but just, you didn't want to bother the guy after he just killed it for 3 hours. And he was in a bathrobe, and it looked like he was about to get in the shower. So Sammy was a little different. He was pretty hell-bent on meeting Axl. But granted, Axl was only 10 feet away, but, you didn't want to say, hey, Axl, look over here. And we were all kind of on the same page of like, okay, this is really cool, but maybe we should kind of leave and let him do his thing. And then Sammy had kind of just said, hey, Axl, and it kind of got his attention. And then he went over to shake his hand, and Axl wasn't ready to shake hands yet. And it was a funny situation that probably could have gone horribly wrong, but didn't. And it was my favorite Sami Zayn moment of all time, because he interrupted Axl after a killer 3-hour set in Chicago, and was like, just put his hand right there and was like, hey, Axl, I'm a big fan. And he was just so starstruck and happy to see Axl Rose, because this was a guy who 5 hours ago wasn't even going to be at the show. And now he's in Axl Rose's dressing room. So he's just like, hey, I got nothing to lose, right? And it was, Sammy's a funny guy. It's a moment that I think Sammy will never forget. I'm sure Punk won't either. But so after that, we politely departed the dressing room and went back to the Bumblefoot area of the arena, and then we left shortly after that. But that was my meeting with. I didn't really get to meet him. He was technically across like 10 feet, sitting on his couch. That was it. Then we just left. So I kind of met him, but didn't get to meet him. So that was my meeting of Axl Rose story, which to me is good enough, because the whole Sami Zayn thing made it even better.
It does, and I have this whole animation going on in my head right now. If for those who watch and know Sami Zayn's character, I'm just picturing it. This over the top friendly guy, and then maybe does he have a sullen look on his face? Like, what does Axl do?
He was like, definitely it kind of starstruck, but at the same time, he's still Sami Zayn, which is a lot like you see on TV. Just this, kind of wackiness to him in a harmless way.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, maybe I can get a picture with him. I go, I wouldn't ask him for a picture. Like, I just don't think he's ready to start taking pictures, or maybe he doesn't even want to. And he's like, oh, come on. When are we ever going to be able to see Axl again? And I was like, oh. And Punk's kind of like, I wouldn't bother the guy. I don't even know if we should be in here. Then Sammy, he had no fear. He went right up. He did get rejected, but hey, at least he tried, at least he tried. So I do think the story is better because he got rejected, and it was so comical. It was just, that's something I'll never forget.
I think that does make a better story for
it. Heaven when I told Kevin Owens that story, he almost fell on the ground laughing because he goes, "That's Sami Zayn as it gets to go and interrupt, one of the most famous rock stars of all time for a picture after he's, just killed it for 3 hours."
That's funny.
But no, that was a great night.
Did that register at all with Bumblefoot? Because you said he was feeling good. Was you just like, oh, okay, guys, maybe not now. Let's go.
Bumblefoot was just all about a good time. He's like, "Oh, all right, you guys, we can go. We'll do whatever you want. Let's go." And then he was just kind of, chumming up with the people in the line after that. And we left shortly thereafter because I think they had to skedaddle to the next city maybe. But that, Bumblefoot was probably one of the most gracious hosts I've ever had. Like, he was just very accommodating.
Nice.